What's up, guys? Mike here from Moore's Wild Waters, and today I kind of wanted to do something a little new. Just kind of like threw it in my mind and doing like a weekly, like kind of like showing off over on like some lures and stuff. Kind of want to give out like some new lures that I'm going to be using, and like some lures that I'm already using, or the ones I've already used like for years, or you know, whatever I've been using like all the time. So I thought today would be great. So I think that this is going to be a pretty good time. We'll be back.
Yep. Going up. Going up. Woo! And soft.
So the first lure that I want to talk about this week is the chatterbait. We got a flat tail swim bait over in the back. That's just the addition that I like to use. Got sort of like different sources of colors. You know, I got green, blue, I got white in the truck, and I got like a brown and gold. Those are kind of like the main colors that I like to use depending on the weather and like what kind of water that I'm being in. Chatterbait has actually been one of my most favorite lures to use in the last 3 years. Just for some reason, just like with the chatterbait, it's kind of like, I don't know, of like looking at the lure, I would say it's like having a spinnerbait and a crankbait together. You know, you got like a 1/8 or like a 3 ounce, or like you can get like an 8 ounce weight over on the top. This one's just a 1/8, and these are just really small, but you know, the heavier ones are kind of like really easier to kind of like brush through the grass, get through the weeds, you know, like getting in through like, you know, lily pads and everything like that, which I don't really recommend. I never really had much luck putting these into the lily pads. I've gotten more snagged into them than anything. But like if you've seen over in my videos that I have like some of these videos that I actually use the chatterbait, and the most common one that I like using is the white one. And for some reason, I don't know, I've heard stories from old timers saying that, you know, using white, it imitates over in like shad or shiners. So like kind of like using white over in like kind of like over in the example of like Otisco, you know, it has a lot of bait fish, a lot of shiners, and it's just, I don't know, white has always worked with me over on Otisco. I hate to give over on that secret, but it's true. And like it's just they're just like kind of like really notorious of like really putting a beating down over in that water. So what this chatterbait is doing, a lot of people like to use these and rubbing them in the grass and everything, like I've said. What I like to do with these, and especially with like a white one or a gold one, I will take them and I'll have them go above the grass bed, and I will whip it. And like if you see in some of my videos, like you'll see me that I'll whip the rod, and I will constantly just keep pushing and jigging while I'm reeling it. So I'm kind of pushing that chatterbait through, and I'm trying to make as much noise as I can to get something to strike. And what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to get the bait to make the bass mad to strike. Bass have a tendency to go and strike with attitude. They're already fat. They're just fat fish. I think they're just fat fish. I think they're fat and lazy. I just think they're lazy fish, especially the bigger ones. Caught some pretty big bass, you know, doing that, especially over in like shallow areas. Most of the time I like using the chatterbait over in the springtime. I've always had, if nothing worked, I go with a go-to chatterbait. I just love them. They just have a work of art. working in there. And you can change the tail over on these chatterbaits too. They got a little bit of a hook inside. You know, you could run them even just blank. You know, I've done that too and I've caught bass. You can have more weight over in the back if you're just adding your rubber tail to it. This would get pretty efficient. So that is it. Over on my tip over on a lure for the week. And I hope you like watching this. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.